The Flood. They are one of the most terrifying forces in the Halo universe, and they began as a corrupted form of the Precursors, an ancient race that once ruled the galaxy. And after being nearly wiped out by their own creations, the Forerunners, the last surviving Precursors, mutated into a parasitic, spore-based plague, and their goal? To reclaim the galaxy by infecting and consuming all intelligent life. At the smallest scale, the Flood exists as billions of drifting spores that seek out warm-blooded hosts. Once contact is made, the spores form infection forms, squirming pods that latch onto living beings, pierce their chests, and take over their nervous system within seconds. The victim then is transformed into a combat form, still capable of wielding weapons, piloting ships, and using technology, but now fully under Flood control. So every fallen soldier or civilian becomes a new soldier for the parasite. As the infection spreads, the Flood builds a shared mind across its hosts. Eventually, this neural network evolves into a grave mind, a massive sentient intelligence capable of absorbing knowledge, coordinating attacks with chilling strategy, and even manipulating enemy leaders through cryptic speech. And because every Flood cell is part of this hive, even dismembered limbs or corpses act as surveillance nodes, feeding information back to the whole. Faced with the Flood's unstoppable growth, the Forerunners created the Halo Array, 7 massive ring worlds designed to wipe out all sentient life in the galaxy. It worked. The Flood was starved of hosts, but the price was devastating. Nearly all life was lost, and the Forerunners vanished into history. Thousands of years later, when Master Chief discovers one of the rings, Installation 04, in Halo Combat Evolved, he unknowingly steps into the aftermath of that war. Where the rings are still armed, the Flood is sealed in containment, and ancient AIs stand ready to sacrifice everything again if needed. Later entries in the series reveal how much worse the Flood can become. With enough biomass, it can abandon humanoid forms and create pure forms, shifting, grotesque creatures that sprout blades, cannons, and armor as needed. And if multiple grave minds link across systems, they evolve into key minds, capable of coordinating the infection across entire galaxies. And the true horror of the Flood is the principle they represent. Once the Flood gains a foothold, it doesn't stop. It absorbs knowledge, converts armies, and spreads like a thinking plague. And the only guaranteed way to stop it is to risk wiping out all life again. The Combine. In the Half-Life universe, the Combine aren't just an alien species, they are a pan-dimensional superpower that devours entire realities. And their empire spans universes, not just planets, assimilating everything from biology to technology into a brutal, homogenized regime called the Universal Union. And their exact origin is unknown, lost to time and conquest. But what remains is a hive bureaucracy governed by grotesque, slug-like advisors. They are telepathic overlords floating in life support tanks who control their armies through civil servants, loyalist collaborators, and genetically rewritten shock troops. Earth's first encounter with the Combine is devastatingly brief, the 7-hour war. After detecting the resonance cascade from Black Mesa, essentially a hole torn through reality, the Combine launch a blitzkrieg, opening sky-spanning portals and deploying artillery synths before any human nation can react. In under a day, Earth surrenders. Dr. Wallace Breen, a former Black Mesa official, cuts a deal for our species' survival, becoming Earth's puppet administrator under Combine rule. And what follows is not just occupation, it is slow extinction. The Combine seal Earth in a suppression field that sterilizes all humans, then start siphoning the planet dry, draining oceans, harvesting atmosphere, and shipping the spoils to unknown worlds. Citadels, monolithic spires that pierce the sky, anchor this process, looming over shattered cities like City 17, and on the ground, civil protection officers enforce order, while Overwatch soldiers, humans mutilated into obedient, biocybernetic enforcers hunt the resistance, and anyone caught rebelling may be executed or worse, transformed into a stalker, a lobotomized, claw-armed drone doomed to crawl maintenance shafts for the rest of its existence. Necrons. Long before the Imperium's first fires were struck, the Necrons were not machines, but mortal beings, Necrontyr, a race cursed by their sun-blasted homeworlds and tragically short lifespan. They gazed outward at younger species thriving under kinder stars and seared with envy, and that bitterness deepened until the day the Catan, starborn entities of near-divine power, offered them a false gift, immortality. In towering forges called biotransference chambers, the Necrontyr traded their frail bodies for living metal, unknowingly feeding their souls to the Catan in the process, and what emerged was undying servitude. Their minds dulled, their emotions silenced, and the Necrontyr became Necrons, soulless machine revenants cursed to endure forever. For 60 million years, they slept beneath the galaxy's surface in vast tomb worlds, planet-sized crypts woven with stasis fields, waiting for the cosmos to ripen again. And when they rise, even a single Necron foot soldier can self-repair from molten slag, while overlords and lords command from floating thrones, wielding weapons like the War Skit. And about their technology, there's Ghost Flayers that peel enemies atom by atom, Doomsday Arcs that hover on gravity-defying, inertial drives, Tesseract Vaults that imprison Kachan shards, and pocket realities. And at the highest level of sorcery and science are the Cryptex, whose corona weapons distort time itself, rewinding armor, accelerating aging, or freezing foes in stasis. And their society is a rigid hierarchy. Dynasties, each led by a pharaoh, compete for galactic dominance, engaging in centuries-long games of war and diplomacy. At the summit stands the Silent King, the last High Ruler who once betrayed his people to the Kachan and vanished in self-imposed exile. Now returned, the Silent King seeks to guide the Necrons back to unity, exterminate what he deems lesser life, and perhaps most importantly, discover a cure for their soulless state. To the younger races of the galaxy, the Necrons are a waking nightmare, cold, emotionless, and unstoppable. They phase out of real space at will, crush planets with world engines, and wield celestial orreries capable of rewriting the fates of the stars. Worse still, for every dynasty that marches to war, 100 more lie dormant beneath planetary crust. And these silenced legions, half-forgotten, fully armed, wait with perfect patience to awaken and reclaim a galaxy they still believe is theirs by right. The Viltrumites. Hailing from the planet Viltrum, they are among the most terrifying apex species in fiction. Once a flourishing society of near immortals with strange rivaling Kryptonians, the Viltrumites underwent a brutal ideological shift millennia ago when their ruler Argal declared that only the strongest deserve to survive. The resulting civil war killed half the population, and what remained was a eugenicist warrior aristocracy devoted to conquest. And this event forged the Empire's founding principle: dominate every civilization that cannot match Viltrumites' range, physically, culturally, and generically. Viltrumites are indistinguishable from humans on the surface, but their biology, well, they can survive in space unaided, move at hypersonic speeds, and punch through reinforced steel like paper. Aging nearly halts after maturity, granting warriors like Thrag lifespans that span millennia without weakening. And their only real biological vulnerabilities are high-frequency sonic disruption, which affects their inner ear equilibrium, and the rare engineered disease called the Scourge virus, which the Empire quarantines like nuclear secrets. In combat, they are less about finesse and more about raw, apocalyptic force, capable of annihilating cities in hours and planets in months if provoked. Yet brute conquest is rarely their first move. Viltrumites prefer deep infiltration, through sleeper agents like Omni-Man, who pose as defenders of weak worlds. They earn global trust, gather intelligence, and pave the way for eventual assimilation. And when the time comes, the Protector removes their mask, and resistance, no matter how fierce, is usually crushed. Only then do the elite kill squads arrive, brutal enforcers like Conquest or Anissa, who escalate the message by leveling infrastructure, tearing apart governments, and culling civilians until surrender is absolute. And every surviving world becomes either a breeding ground for hybrid super beings or a servitor species kept alive solely for imperial utility. And even after suffering massive losses in their war with the coalition of planets and the near existential threat of the Scourge virus, the Viltrum Empire remains intact. They believe in their destiny as the galaxy's rightful rulers, and they raise their children to see kindness as a strategic liability and bloodlines as sacred. Every campaign lost becomes data for stronger offspring, and every world conquered becomes another rung on a never-ending evolutionary ladder. The Q. In C.M. Cosman's All Tomorrows, the Q are cosmic sculptures, an ancient avian-descended civilization that achieved total biomechanical control over their own biology long before they turned their gaze outward. And after exhausting every imaginable form of self-perfection, the Q sought meaning beyond themselves by treating other intelligent species as raw clay for their twisted art. And when they encountered humanity, already seeded across the galaxy by the benevolent star people of Mars, the Q launched a shockingly brief apocalyptic war. Armed with relativistic weapons and transdimensional fleets, they annihilated Earth's defenses and wiped out the star people in orbital duels that lasted mere minutes. For the next 40 million years, the Q reshaped human-descended colonies into monstrous forms to satisfy their philosophies and aesthetic whims. Each subspecies was generically locked into a specific niche. Some, like the snake people, were rendered limbless and helpless, others, like the Ruin, became sentient mats stretched across forest floors, and still others, like the Mantelopes or Hosts, were twisted into joke-like forms bombs or breeding fodder for Q spawn. And these were deliberate, lasting mutilations designed to prevent technological development and enforce permanent cultural stagnation. Any spark of advancement was snuffed out by autonomous Q-built extermination machines, ensuring the galaxy remained a gallery of crippled, isolated human branches. But the Q made one mistake. On a planet with stronger gravity, they failed to notice that humans there, now strong and smart, had kept their minds. And these hyper-intelligent, tank-like beings, called the Gravital, quietly rebuilt space travel. And once ready, they launched a surprise attack. Their powerful ships and weapons crushed the Q's strongholds and forced them to flee the galaxy. And after the Q were gone, humanity slowly started to recover, and the many broken human species began to reconnect and evolve together into a new form of life. The Saiyans. They are one of the most famous warrior races in fiction, wild, battle-loving, and built by evolution to fight. They came from planet Sidala, a world with strong gravity which made them short, muscular, and tough. Their tails helped with balance and triggered their powerful Ozaru transformation. From birth, Saiyan children were ranked by strength and sent to take over planets, and after nearly destroying themselves through civil war, a group of Saiyans took over planet Plant from the Chuffles and renamed it Planet Vegeta. There, they thrived as soldiers for hire, until Frieza, scared of a prophecy about a Super Saiyan, destroyed nearly all of them in one huge attack. Saiyan bodies are built to get stronger through pain. When they are badly hurt but survive, they gain more power through what's called a Zenkai boost, and under a full moon or artificial light that mimics it, they can turn into giant great apes, becoming 10 times stronger, though they often lose control unless trained. And Saiyan human hybrids like Gohan and Trunks have the same powers, but their emotions and adaptability make them even more powerful. And the more a Saiyan trains, feels intense emotions, or survives near-death experiences, the stronger they can become with no clear limit. And the Super Saiyan form was just a legend until Goku unlocked it through anger and grief, multiplying his power by 50, and that form led to others. Super Saiyan 2 with lightning and focus, Super Saiyan 3 with huge power but heavy energy drain, and later the series introduced godlike forms. Super Saiyan God, created through a ritual, gave Goku calm, efficient power, and Super Saiyan Blue mixed godly energy with raw strength. And after that came deeper forms like Ultra Instinct, where the body moves on its own, and Ultra Ego, where Vegeta gets stronger by taking damage. And these show that Saiyans grow not just with strength, but with breaking limits of mind and spirit. And Saiyan cultures used to revolve around conquest, but the few survivors now show different paths. Goku fights to better himself, Vegeta struggles with his past and seeks redemption, and Broly, once a monster, just wants peace. And in another universe, Saiyans like Caulifla and Kale grew stronger without even turning cruel, proving that their violence wasn't fate, it was just how they were raised. The Xeelee. They are the oldest and most advanced beings in Stephen Baxter's science fiction universe. They were born right after the Big Bang, even before stars and galaxies formed, and their bodies are made of a special kind of matter that's so strong, normal particles like protons break apart when they touch it. From the beginning, the Xeelee saw the universe would one day die because of creatures called Photinoburds, dark matter beings that slowly drain the energy from stars. To survive, the Xeelee focused everything on one goal: escaping a universe that's slowly dying. What makes the Xeelee so dangerous is how massive and powerful their weapons are. They treat whole galaxies the way other species treat land or mountains. A single Xeelee ship can bend time to slice enemy ships in half without firing a weapon, and one of their bombs can break apart a planet in seconds by opening tunnels through its core. And their largest creations, a ring 10 million light years wide, bend space so much it throws nearby stars out of place. And since their technology controls gravity and time, normal weapons and defenses are useless, and by the time anyone notices the attack, it's already too late. And the Xeelee don't just use power, they fight by changing the rules of reality, making it almost impossible to fight back. And even though they seem all-powerful, the Xeelee are driven by the fear of the universe's slow death and the danger of the Photinoburds. But younger species, especially humans, misunderstand them. When humans find strange Xeelee structures and technology, they get scared and attack. And this starts the Baryonic War, a battle that lasts thousands of years. Earth sends massive warships and powerful weapons, but they are no match, because a single Xeelee ship can slice through space or hide behind an area no one can reach. In the end, the Xeelee aren't fighting to rule the universe, they are trying to escape it, and their final plan is to weave massive amounts of cosmic string through the center of the universe, bend space and time itself, and open a way out into a calmer reality without the star-killing Photinoburds. So they are the universe's oldest builders, racing against time using tools made from black holes, and every war they fight along the way is just a bomb bump in the road as they try to leave behind a cosmos that's already falling apart. The Q from Star Trek. They are not bound by biology, physics, or time. They are a collective of omnipotent entities, the Q continuum, that exists beyond conventional dimensions, perceiving the universe as an intricate, editable work of art. Each Q can bend space-time, alter quantum constants, resurrect the dead, or create pocket realities on a whim. To mortals, they appear humanoid only for comfort, avatars chosen to communicate with beings too primitive to perceive the real form, and the most familiar member of this continuum, simply known as Q. In his debut, he subjects the Enterprise crew to a mock trial, accusing humans of being an immature and violent species. Later, he throws them into the path of the Borg far before they are ready, not out of cruelty, but to jolt the Federation into accelerated growth. He forces Packard to reckon with his regrets. In Tapestry, guides Data through the meaning of laughter, and in the series finale of Star Trek Next Generation, All Good Things, he reveals that humanity's true trial is ongoing. Yet the continuum is no utopia. Despite being godlike, the Q bicker, rebel, and impose sanctions on one another. In Deja Q, the continuum punishes Q for his recklessness by stripping him of his powers and making him mortal. And in Voyager, tensions escalate into a full-blown Q civil war, requiring Captain Janeway's intervention. And these stories reveal that yes, the Q may control galaxies, but they still struggle with meaning, identity, and the consequences of infinite choices. To the Federation, Q is a paradox. His visits provoke chaos. He is Star Trek's embodiment of post-human thought, a force that poses the question of what we become if we transcend time and space, and whether wisdom necessarily follows power.